We were planning our child's first birthday. I chose a whimsical forest theme. My mother-in-law suggested a formal tea party instead. When I declined, she sent out her own invitations. Same date, same time, different theme. I confronted her. She said, "Well, I thought guests might want a more elevated option." I had always envisioned my daughter's first birthday as a magical affair. Living in Asheville, North Carolina, surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, I was inspired to create a whimsical forest-themed party. I imagined fairy lights strung between trees, children wearing flower crowns, and a gentle breeze carrying the laughter of our loved ones. My husband, Mark, was supportive, albeit a bit indifferent. He trusted my judgment and was content to let me handle the details. However, his mother, Barbara, had other ideas. Barbara, a woman of refined tastes and strong opinions, called me one afternoon. "Darling," she began, "have you considered a formal tea party for Lily's birthday? It's elegant and timeless." I paused, choosing my words carefully. "Barbara, I appreciate the suggestion, but I've already planned a forest-themed party. It's something I've been dreaming about." There was a brief silence before she responded, "Well, I thought guests might want a more elevated option." I reiterated my plans, hoping to put the matter to rest. A week later, I received a call from my friend, Jenna. "Hey, I got an invitation to Lily's birthday, but it's for a tea party at Barbara's house. Same date and time as yours. What's going on?" My heart sank. Barbara had taken it upon herself to plan a separate party, sending out her own invitations without informing me. I confronted her immediately. "Barbara, why did you send out invitations for a separate party on the same day and time?" She replied nonchalantly, "I just thought some guests might prefer a more sophisticated setting." I was furious, but decided to stay calm. This is Lily's first birthday. It's not about sophistication, it's about celebrating her in a way that feels special to us. The day arrived, and I proceeded with my forest-themed party at our home. The backyard was transformed into an enchanted forest, complete with fairy lights, woodland decorations, and a cake adorned with edible flowers. Friends and family who shared our vision attended, and the atmosphere was filled with joy and laughter. Meanwhile, Barbara hosted her tea party at her house. Some guests, confused by the dual invitations, chose to attend hers. In the days that followed, I received messages from guests who were puzzled and even upset about the conflicting parties. Some felt caught in the middle, unsure of which event to attend. I realized that Barbara's actions had not only undermined my plans, but had also created unnecessary tension among our loved ones. I sat down with Mark to discuss the situation. "Mark, I understand your mother has her ways, but this was over the line. We need to set boundaries." He agreed, albeit reluctantly. We decided to have a candid conversation with Barbara, expressing our feelings and the importance of respecting our decisions as parents. Barbara was initially defensive, but eventually acknowledged that she had overstepped. We agreed to involve her in future planning, ensuring that her input was considered, but not overriding our choices. Lily's first birthday, despite the drama, was a memorable event. It taught us the importance of communication, setting boundaries, and standing firm in our decisions. I thought things might calm down after the double party drama. I was wrong. A week later, I noticed some weird tension. My phone was quieter than usual. Friends who'd normally text or call hadn't reached out. So I checked Facebook. Barbara had posted a full album titled Lily's Elegant First Birthday, A Day to Remember. She didn't just post pictures from her tea party. She only posted those. No mention of our actual party. But that wasn't the worst part. She tagged nearly every guest. In the caption she wrote, "So proud to give my granddaughter the celebration she truly deserved. Thank you to everyone who chose to be part of a classy, memorable day." I was stunned. She made it look like her party was the real one. Like ours didn't happen. And with that line, "chose to be part of a classy day," she was basically calling my party trash. I started hearing from friends quietly. One friend, Ava, messaged me late at night. Hey, just so you know, there's a separate group chat now. Barbara started it after the party. She invited everyone who went to her version of the party. She said she wants to protect Lily from tacky events in the future. I'm sorry. It's really weird. A separate group chat? About my daughter? Like I was some danger to her because I put up fairy lights and let the kids eat cupcakes with their hands? I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet for a few days. I needed to think. Every time I walked past the birthday decorations that were still half up in the backyard, I felt sick. On the third night, Mark came home from work looking pale. We need to talk. He sat down on the couch and rubbed his face. My mom, she called CPS. I stared at him. I didn't speak. I couldn't. She told them the party was unsafe. That we had kids around, wooded hazards, and no supervision. She also mentioned Lily eating sweets too early. My world tilted. You're joking. I wish I was. They came 2 days later. A social worker and an officer. They were polite, professional, and embarrassed. We're sorry, the woman said. This happens more than people think. We still need to check everything. They looked around. They asked questions. They saw the leftover decorations in the backyard. They saw Lily happy and healthy. They were gone in 45 minutes. The report cleared us. Unsubstantiated. But the damage was done. My trust was shattered. Mark was livid. For the first time, he truly confronted his mother. I wasn't there, but I heard him on the phone. No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to act like we're the problem when you called CPS on your own granddaughter. I don't care what kind of party you wanted. This isn't about tea sets or cupcakes anymore. He didn't visit her that weekend. Or the one after that. But that didn't stop Barbara. A week after the CPS visit, a thick white envelope came in the mail. No return address. I opened it. Inside was a letter written in perfect cursive. You've made your choices clear. And so have I. I will not allow my granddaughter to grow up thinking fairy tales are more important than reality. If I must protect her from that kind of influence, I will. A court will see reason. My knees went weak. I had to sit down. She was threatening us. Legally. After the letter, things hit a new low. I started sleeping with one eye open. Mark changed the locks and installed cameras around the house. He even got a doorbell cam just in case she showed up. She didn't. Not yet. Instead, she found other ways. One of Mark's cousins, someone we hadn't seen in months, texted him out of nowhere. Hey, just a heads up. Barbara's been asking if anyone thinks you and your wife are fit parents. She said she's starting paperwork for grandparent rights. She's trying to build a case. We didn't know what to believe at first. Grandparent rights? In North Carolina, they're not that easy to get. But the fact that she was even talking about it chilled me to my core. I looked up everything. I joined mom forums, legal subreddits, Facebook groups. And sure enough, there were cases where grandparents dragged parents to court just out of spite. Sometimes they won visitation. Sometimes more. Barbara was a retired school principal. She had money, time, and no shame. Mark and I started seeing a couples therapist. Not because our marriage was in trouble, but because the stress of his mother was eating us alive. I remember sitting in the office, just holding my coffee like a shield, and saying, she's trying to rewrite Lily's life. And she thinks she's the hero. The therapist nodded. That's common in narcissistic personality disorder. Has she always controlled Mark's life? Mark laughed bitterly. She once threw away a job offer because it would have moved me out of state. That's when I realized this wasn't new behavior. It was just the first time she'd found someone willing to say no. 2 months later, we enrolled Lily in a small daycare near Biltmore Village. It was quiet, family-run, and warm. A week into it, I got a call from the manager. Hi, we just wanted to check, was there a change in pickup arrangements? Your daughter's grandmother came by and said she was authorized to take Lily home early. We asked for ID, and she got upset and left. I nearly dropped the phone. Barbara had tried to take Lily, without telling us, from daycare. We filed a police report the same day. No charges stuck, but the daycare banned her. We gave them a list of approved pickup people. Barbara was blacklisted. Mark was numb. He didn't speak for the rest of that night. A week later, our new doorbell cam went off at 2:14 a.m. We checked the footage the next morning. It was Barbara, wearing a scarf around her head, standing in our front yard, just staring. She stayed for 3 minutes, then walked away. No knock, no message, just stared at the house like she was memorizing it. We called the police again. They filed a report, but said unless she damaged something or came to the door, there wasn't much they could do. That's when I bought hidden indoor cameras, just in case. Mark's sister, Alina, had been quiet throughout everything. We figured she didn't want to take sides. But then she came to visit. She sat on our couch, holding her coffee, and looked straight at me. You know she's trying to get power of attorney over Mark, right? I blinked. What? That's not even possible. He's a grown man. She filed paperwork, claimed he's under emotional distress and might not be of sound mind because of you. Said he's being isolated. I saw the papers. She's asking the court for a psych evaluation. I laughed. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it felt unreal. Like something from a Netflix series. Barbara was trying to take custody of our daughter, get Mark declared mentally unstable, and cut me out completely. This woman wasn't just toxic. She was dangerous. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up reading legal blogs and court forums until the sun came up. When Mark woke up, I handed him my phone. We need a lawyer. A real one. We found one in downtown Asheville. Her name was Maria, and she had that calm, no-nonsense energy that made you feel like you were finally standing on solid ground. We told her everything, every birthday detail, every phone call, the CPS visit, the daycare stunt, the night watch outside our house. She sat silently, then said, "She's escalating. You're not overreacting. We need to file a restraining order." Today, the day of the hearing, Barbara showed up in full pearls and a powder blue skirt suit like she was running for office. She had brought her own lawyer, some smug guy who looked like he'd walked off a billboard. We weren't allowed to speak directly to her, but I could see the fire in her eyes when she looked at me. Like I had stolen something from her. Like Lily belonged to her. The judge asked questions. We showed evidence, the CPS report, the security footage, the screenshots from social media, even the daycare's written statement. Barbara's lawyer tried to paint us as young, overwhelmed parents and her as a concerned grandmother stepping in during a chaotic time. But the judge saw through it. Restraining order, granted for 2 years. She wasn't allowed within 200 feet of our home, Lily's daycare, or even our car. But it didn't stop there. Her lawyer didn't like losing. So Barbara filed for grandparent visitation rights the next month. Only this time, we had a defense. Our lawyer filed a counter-motion claiming harassment. She also added a civil suit for emotional distress, naming Barbara and her cousin for spreading damaging lies. Barbara's cousin, who had smugly told people we were unfit, suddenly stopped answering calls. A week later, she sent us a letter begging to be removed from the suit. The case dragged for months. Every week, something new happened: subpoenas, depositions, threats. But here's the thing about people like Barbara: they never think they'll lose. They think their reputation will carry them through. It didn't. It was winter. Snow on the ground. Lily was now 19 months old, babbling, laughing, and finally sleeping through the night. We walked into court for what would be the final hearing. Barbara looked tired. Her pearls were gone. Her lawyer had changed twice since summer. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she stood and started crying. She was taking her away from me. I had to do something. I raised Mark. I know what's best. That's when Mark finally stood up. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just said, "You were never trying to help. You were trying to replace us." And the judge agreed. The verdict: visitation rights denied permanently. Restraining order extended to 5 years. Civil suit settled quietly after her cousin flipped and gave us screenshots of texts that proved everything. Barbara paid us $18,000 in damages and legal fees. Barbara moved 2 towns over. Word spread through the family. Some people stopped talking to us. Others apologized for not believing us earlier. Lily grew older. She never really asked about her grandma. But I kept the scrapbook from her forest birthday party. And one day, when she's older, I'll tell her the truth, not because I want her to hate her grandmother, but because I want her to understand what it means to protect your child. And here's the part Reddit always skips. I made mistakes too. I should have set boundaries way earlier. I let Barbara push me around because I wanted to be liked. I thought I was keeping the peace, but all I did was give her more room to mess with our lives. I stayed quiet when I should have screamed. I gave her the benefit of the doubt until there was no doubt left. But I learned that silence doesn't keep things calm. It just delays the storm. And when that storm hits, you better be ready to stand.